African power, people.
Active. Can you hear me?
I can hear you live and direct, my brother.
Hold up. Uncle Justin and them people, what's going on?
Peace, family. Thank you, everybody who's connecting. Gonna give it a couple of minutes. Wait for a few more people to join.
One second. So what's cracking? How do we know who's active in this building? If you're active in the building, let me see some love.
Yeah. If you're live and direct,
let me see some Black African power.
In the message.
You hear me? Jeez. So what's going down, people? What's going down? Yeah, so what we're touching on tonight then, family?
Well, first thing, I suppose let's kind of introduce ourselves to the people who might not be as familiar with the B.A.P movement, which is Black African Power. My name is Axsal, one of the founding partners. I believe that it is our time as African people to unite together, expand our consciousness, ultimately uplifting of our community.
And for those who don't know me, BC the Boss Man, and everything at BC the Boss Man, you know, council member at B.A.P. I do everything. I do this. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to all the people in the building. We're about to get this cracking, yeah, and show you some real Black African power. Yeah, feel me?
So ultimately, me and my brother Rich, Ricardo, aka BC the Boss, we were having a conversation about kind of the current situation across the world, specifically pertaining towards the Black community, and we were actually sizing up the problems which males have opposed to what females have, and we decided to kind of have this conversation so that we can kind of air our opinions and quote unquote conscious males in the Black community as to how we can help uplift our sisters, which we both believe is vitally important for
church,
again, the upliftment of our community. So no matter where we look across the world, no matter where and when we look in history, the importance of the female has always been drastically important. And I'm sure my brother will agree with me. Even if we go back to antiquity and we look at our ancient ancestors in the Kemet spiritual systems, they actually placed our females very, very highly their orders. In fact, it's said that a king couldn't even sit down on the throne if his wife was not elevated and actually enlightened equally.
Church. Like, just to add on to that, yeah, so if we're talking about, well, with the Kemet thing, you can't even get on the throne if you don't recognize you come from a woman, if you don't directly come from an African woman's womb. So we know that just on the strength of that alone, the woman was held high in the culture. Aset, her Meduneta symbol is the throne. Yeah, it's symbolizing for you to rule, you have to sit on the throne of a woman or to come from a woman. So those are the foundations that when you come into the understanding of like Kemet and things like that, those are the base foundations, that the ground in which the house is built upon. You see what I'm saying? So, and
the one great thing about that as well, taking all of that into consideration, one thing that we all must remember is that we as modern people can't actually conceptualize the level of peace and harmony that they had in ancient Kemet. And that's simply because of the removal of the feminine energy and the removal of how important the feminine energy is. And just touching on the importance of what Ricardo has just said there about the throne, understanding that Kemet was a world power, if they are acknowledging the importance of a king who is to rule this empire, must pay homage to the female, we can instantly understand the importance which they place on that. And these were people who were able to actually go on and build things like the pyramids, which are still standing today. So to have that level of intellect there, and have that priority for our females is something which we today, clearly, I'm sure we can all agree on, is something which we've forgotten. But
Definitely.
with this revitalization of the African consciousness, we're now coming to a period of time where the females are starting to understand their importance and their power. And kind of that's what we want to touch on today, the importance of feminine energy and how that has a vital role within the actual revolution of our people. So, I mean, in regards to feminine energy, the way that I interpret feminine energy is, first and foremost, feminine energy is something which both male and females, it's something which we have as part of our spirit. Each and every single person is like yin and yang, female and the male energy. But what we see in the physical manifestation of us as humans is that some people tend to take the energy of either or side. So,
Church.
Being more specific, just looking at the way that society is run at the moment and how we characterize feminine energy is very creative. It's very guiding. It's very nourishing. It's which is subtly there within the background of kind of everything that we do, whether we acknowledge it or not. And then comparing that to masculine energy, which is very straight, it's direct, it's to the point. Again, kind of just look at over the past, over time, how we've been in this position.
Sorry, fam. Can I just add on to that? So we know that we're talking about the yin and yang in it. So we're talking about the duality. So then on that, you've just hit the positives of or the cons of a male and a female. But we know that that would be in a perfect society to a degree. So then now, more time we would say that the woman is portrayed as weak or vulnerable, dependent. You see what I'm saying? So I would say, just to add on, obviously, that's the duality. The base foundation is, we know a woman is nature, she is creation and all these different things. But what's pushed to the forefront is, I wouldn't even say the negatives, because that would say that a woman is weak and a woman is dependent. But what society projects as the image of a woman is weak. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely. I mean, just on that then, in your opinion then, because obviously I have my own opinions, but just let's share your opinions. When it comes to the situation that female or the light that females are viewed in on a global scale, what would you say is the causing factor for that thought that females are, quote unquote, have to be dependent, when we know that the female is obviously very, very strong? What is it that's causing the general?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. What's the what?
So with us knowing what we know about females and their power and the feminine energy, what do you think are the biggest things which is suppressing that feminine energy at the moment and not allowing it to be able to create and manifest and guide us as humans?
Men. Standard, innit? It's men, innit? It's what? We live in a world that is dominated by European culture. We understand that history repeats itself, and or it will play itself out until someone changes it. So a European culture or a mind state is to suppress the woman, because at the time when they was developing, they had their sexual needs and they would breed with the women, but not realizing that every time you do that, you're gonna have a child. You understand what I'm saying? And this would cause them to hate the women, kill the children, and suppress everything about the woman, even though she's giving them the ability to sustain their community. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the base foundation that controls what we see now, because we're in a European society. You understand what I'm saying? All over the world. And that dominates the thoughts of everyone within that society. You understand what I'm saying? So everyone's going to see it like that.
So, with you touching on, you mentioned obviously a very key word to the situation, pertaining the situation that when you said the European society, I think we should kind of just talk about kind of how we found ourselves in this position to where self-hate is manifesting to black love to actually get in the way and actually to become an obstacle to black love. So I mean, I personally subscribe to the fact that pre kind of 1600s, which is before we're talking about the enslavement of African people, we know that females had a very standing when it come down to the running of the towns, running of the household, running of the nation, and they were very, very much involved on an economic level, on a political level, and also obviously on a nurturing level as well. Now, through the foreign interaction or foreign involvement of the Europeans who've come to actually not only break down the family, but they've also come through, they've taken them people from their natural land, from their indigenous lands, put them in plantations, and then from there they've actually begun to break down the female, and they've done this in a number of different ways. So we know that obviously, through records of how plantation or masters were running their plantations, that they were regularly sexually abusing the females on the plantations. They were impregnating the females, and then as well as doing that as well, they were also holding the child as a kind of an emotional hostage to then be able to mold the female into what the European would want from his property, quote unquote property. Now, if we kind of fast forward, understanding the deep-rooted psychological effects that sexual abuse will have in such a scenario, in such an environment, we're now, people have been freed from slavery, but treatment is lodged in the mind, and it is then passed on in the way that parents go on to teach their children. So what we have to remember is we're less than kind of 150 years away from slavery, and that psychological mind state is still present, and it's evident in the society that we live in.
Of course. That's why we're having such the influx of knowledge. Like, obviously, it's because of technology, but within our race and community, that's why we're having the big influx of everyone trying to do it, because you have to remember, we've only been reading for like 160 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? Allowed to read it for 160 years. So it's a build-up, even though it's you have to think everyone's been able to read at their own pace and their own, without limitation rather, all over the world, except for black people, due to slavery and whatnot. So the fact that we've caught up, and black women are statistically the most educated women on the planet, we know that we've got to be doing something right. You know what I mean, Carl? Anybody else that's going to be not allowed to read for 500 years and be oppressed and be mentally disabled and crippled to the point where if you're seen with a book, you're going to get beaten, you're going to get whipped and shamed and whatever. You understand what I'm saying? To now, still being oppressed mentally and whatnot, but still the black woman in particular, is the most educated in the world, fam. Statistically, it's deep. You understand what I'm saying?
These are the kind of facts, these are the kind of statistics which the media does not portray, and it allows for the individual black woman to feel kind of cut off and to feel alienated from her sistren, who are also kind of equally pursuing this higher knowledge, this higher consciousness, or even to just better themselves in their situation. But the media doesn't share that information, and it makes it very difficult for sisters to kind of unite and say, do you know what? We're not what society is making out us to be. We're not all seeking benefits and seeking welfare. We're not all trying to have multiple children by multiple fathers, as the media will try to make out. We're not all and not all females are. Let me ask you this, BC. What do you say about this? What do you say about this? The media or TV programs will throw it out there and make it very apparent that the stereotypical image of the black woman is an angry black woman, one that can't have a civil conversation with her partner or with her peers. Why do you think that they go about doing that?
Because everything's visual. You understand what I'm saying? So once your eyes see it, it's the steps of the TV, and it's so a channel will channel to you, the program shit to you. You know what I mean? The telly is like a trans, basically sending something, and then the vision is you seeing it. You understand what I'm saying? So the power of a visual is deep. You understand what I'm saying? So you're gonna see it, and regardless of your age, it's gonna have an impact on your psyche, and you're gonna see it, you're gonna act it out, or you're gonna see it in other people. And regardless, like, this is why learning your culture is important, because it fights it. If you haven't got like it's like having antibodies. That's what your culture is. Blood, it fights it automatically. Like, you'll see it and you'll be like, nah. You can't subconsciously be like, nah, I don't do that. I don't see people like that, or that's not me. Saying it is one thing, but having it subconsciously within you, fighting subconsciously daily, that's what beats the battle, you get me? And they put it on TV, so the youngers will see it. So when they see it, because the mums are watching it, the mums raise the youths, fam. So when they're seeing it, that's what their subconscious takes on, and that's what they feel about their race or their people or the women in their race as they go older. It's fucking, excuse my language, people, but it's deep, you get me? It's hella deep.
When I mean, recently there's been not a new concept kind of thrown into the collective consciousness or into the conscious community, and it's black woman being God. And I subscribe to that. The black woman is God. There is no two ways about it. The word God is synonymous with anything
that has the ability to create something.
Yeah. So when we're talking about the origins of civilization, the origins of where humans come from, we know that they come from a black woman's womb. Now, also from my studies of various different civilizations, from modern times to ancient times, there is something which becomes very, very prevalent, and it is the condition of that nation that determine the affluence or the success of that nation. So when we kind of look around our own society now and the condition of our own women, we can see that as black males, we are allowing for our women to be disrespected in the media. We are allowing other black men to disrespect our females. And we're letting other races disrespect our females, to the point where females are now turning around blatantly to us as black men, which I find very, very, I feel it on my heart, it hurts. I hear black women say to us, black men don't respect us. They don't give us time. They don't give us an attention. They don't give us the emotional support that they feel that they need. It comes down to the whole element of your own your own self-love. You can look at another sister and understand that she is a progenitor of civilization and somebody who can actually help uplift the entire community. And you're disrespecting her, you genuinely have a self-love issue for yourself. And one of the things which I was just going to say as well, very simply as well, is the reason that we decided to have this conversation is we understand that for females, it must be very, very frustrating for a male to look at their situation and be able to give you or feel like they're giving you some type of solution. But the viewpoint and the standpoint that me and Brother BC have, we can see as quote unquote conscious males how other males are treating people, and it's to the point where we're kind of standing up and we're saying, no, we can't accept this anymore, and we want to let you feel, and we want to let you women know that ultimately we believe that you are able to kind of turn the current global situation for black people around, because it is you who brings forth the next generation. And one thing which I was going to touch on with BC, I'm not sure if he's ever done any work into this before, but when women are carrying the seed inside of the womb, that is where the child's education starts.
Yeah.
Because everything that the child has from its genetic makeup, from its personality to the the characteristics. That's all passed on from the mother into the womb. So the way that the environment that females are in, we need to as males start providing a much more calm and relaxed environment for our sisters to be able to obviously deal with what they're dealing with, because the stress or the degradation and the insults they're projected at our females, and it has a knock-on effect to the child, which the child is instantly born into a stress-filled environment, which subconsciously aware of the problems that it faces.
Of course. I agree with you. You know what? But it's not even but. It's this. It's like everyone's normal. Everyone's human. You get me? You're gonna race up your girl. You're gonna race up your man. You're gonna have your ones and twos. Yeah. So it can't be helped. Yeah. So no one's perfect. You understand what I'm saying? So, but the depth of it, is every word. If we want to live life like that, we'd be walking on eggshells. You understand what I'm saying? Because every word has an effect on everybody. Your body is 70% water. Sound ripples across everything. You understand what I'm saying? It ripples across everything bar in space. So every word you speak has an effect on somebody, and how you say it how you say it to them. But you're not going to be able to stop yourself from arguing with the person that you're with. No one's perfect, but you have to be conscious. That's what conscious is. It's knowing something. It's knowing you're aware in it. So you have to be aware that when you do these things, your child's involved. You know what I'm saying? But to prevent those things, you have to be aware of it before you get into that situation. If you're the type of person that's arguing with somebody anyway, having a child and thinking you're conscious ain't gonna make no difference. Do you know what I mean? You have to change yourself to not be sensitive to things that people say to you, or the person that you're with, and blah blah blah, and tolerate people. That's you have to learn that before you get into it, car. If you don't know these things, you're going to be in a relationship and you're going to be like everybody else, having a normal person, having arguments with people. But if you know these things prior to it, you're going to come into a relationship and you're going to have a child, and you're going to be aware of the repercussions of how you speak to your baby mother or your child, or however you choose to call her. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can't, like I'm saying, no one's perfect. You can't stop yourself from getting angry, but you can try and prevent it. You know what I'm saying? And the deepness of it is everything you do, your child is listening to it, regardless whether they know that they're listening to it or not. From conception, they're connected to the mother, like a plug socket to the wall. Do you know what I'm saying? And once you pull it, they're their own person. But the essence of that woman is in the child from birth. You get me? That's why it's important, like Axel was just saying, to know these things. Sorry, to be careful of how you interact with each other. But what I'm saying is to know these things, and to know that, you can't prevent it because no one's perfect, but be aware of it, because they are the next generation, You get me? And without them, blood, it's peak. You know what I mean? And women have to know that. And the women have to know that. The men have to know that. But we all have to know we're all human at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So,
obviously, one of the main reasons I come together to have a conversation ultimately was to talk about the importance of the woman in kind of changing the tide for the Black community. So I'm going to bang it on your toes a little bit and ask you a bit of a direct question. I mean, when it comes to the females, BC, I've got a better question. How do you see us as the males best supporting our sisters in getting back to this high level of self-esteem, because it's all well and good that we're, you know, the sisters are by rights calling themselves queens and goddesses, which you very much are. But it's one thing to say something and it's another thing to be something. So how do you think that we as males are best supporting our sisters to actually get them back to that official kind of African goddess status?
You know what? No one's gonna like me after I touch this one, but it is what it is, isn't it?
We're here to kind of, ultimately, I'm sure that if any of the ladies who are listening today, or even any of the males that are listening in today, if they feel at any point that we're out of line or not quite putting across, then they have the ability to obviously kind of put their point across.
Chime in, people, chime in. You get me? But check it. We all know there's never 100 kings. You understand what I'm saying? There's not a million kings. There's always one king to one nation. Yeah. So then everybody needs to just get to terms with, yeah, we call each other king and queen as a term of endearment, but there are people running around believing that everyone is a king. That's one. Yeah. Reality. We all need to be in reality. We all come from the progenitors of humanity, which makes us royal. Yeah. Safe. But the belief that everyone is a king, that's just idiotic. Yeah.
Chiming in there. Professor James Smalls teaches us that ancestrally, only 1/9 of African people came from royal bloodlines. The rest of us, that's exactly 8/9 of us, come from scientists, medical professionals, astronomers,
exactly,
architects, healers, midwives. Exactly. These are the integral roles in society.
Some of the people who was more important than the king. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, my answer to that ultimately is that knowing the condition of the female in the nation determines the quality of the nation. I personally, from an academic point of view, that the best way to help the sisters or help our sisters is to help actually educate them, not only about their divinity, reconnect them with our culture, because any African sister who becomes aligned with their history and with their culture will then start to see that before all of the 1960s civil rights movement, when we were back in our homeland, you were what was idolized. I mean, this is something which is very, very important as well.
Pause.
When we're talking about the importance of feminine and sacred energy.
1 second. We have to understand here that we don't have to go back. We don't have to go back nowhere. We can stay here in 2016. Yeah? And people don't go on holiday. People go on holiday, 50% to see the world. Yeah? This is people outside of African descent. And 50% to get a darker. That's just one factor. Yeah? You don't hear people go on holiday and say, oh, I don't want to get a tan. It's the simple things in life, you know, fam. It's not difficult. You don't need to break open no books. You just need to take a look. You don't need to go back in time. You just need to take a look at what's in front of you. People be going on holiday to get a tan. Why did they want to get a tan? Regardless of what we're going to say, because they want to be darker. Why did they want to be darker? I'll leave that to everybody to answer themselves. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what?
It is about.
I'm too unapologetic. I'm too unapologetic to leave that topic there, because that's actually been a very, very big topic of this week on my social media. I mean, anybody who follows me on social media may have seen some of the aggressive comments that I've had from the European demographic. I mean, I've been talking about how the black woman is not only the most exploited, which I'm sure you will all agree, but she's also the most mimicked. How is it that, for example, black women will be called ugly by the remainder of society? Same segment of society will go to the doctor to pay for their lips to get plumped up to be made to look bigger, or they will pay for an implant to be put into their bottom. So one thing one very, very important message, which I wouldn't allow any female who's tuned in today. In fact, I wouldn't even let any male who's tuned in today go away and not learn this, is that the black woman is the universal standard for beauty. There is no two ways about it. For the first. Standard. So if you are the original,
standard.
Absolutely standard. So you're the most, so black women out there, if you can hear me and you can see me, you are beautiful, no matter what society will allow to be kind of projected at you. We do love you. The next thing I wanted to touch on, BC, very, very quickly, is how do you see women being involved in the actual revolution? Because there's no two ways about it. What black people are going through at the moment, even though the media will not project this, is African people are currently going through a revolution. This is going on across the world. There is a war on men, and we're trying to improve our situation. So how do you think that the black woman would be, or is going to be integral to this struggle that we're facing at the moment?
To be fair, it's black women that run the revolution anyway. It's because, like, it's only black women you see do things like strip naked and flipping get a sheet and write stuff on it and stand in front of the airport. You ain't seen no black geezers doing it. They're frontliners. So they're the ones making up the most noise. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you'll see your mum crying, or you'll see a man's mum crying, and that will stir emotions in you. It's the women who do this anyway. You get me? We just fight the physical. You get me? And we know the physical is the last part. So that's it. Do you know what I mean?
I would definitely agree with you on that. In fact, I would go as far as to say that on a physical level, and maybe even on a mental level, the reason that men do 90% of the things that they do
for a woman
is for a woman. So when we're talking about the revolution here, and it's females at the moment. In fact, let me ask you this: why do you believe that it's women who are at the forefront of this? Why isn't it that men are at the front of this? What's making what they're doing more what males are doing?
It's probably just what I just said. It's man are physical, and the physical is always the last thing. It's you say if you have women that are in the fights with police, and police are killing women too. But when you see like the riots, it's the young youths, it's the man them that's out there actually in the fight. You understand what I'm saying? Obviously, it's men that's supposed to do that. So if the fight is the last thing, man will be standing around doing nothing, because men won't do the same things that women will do. It's just common, you know what I mean? It's common knowledge. They do what they do, and we do what we do, and they happen to do more. It's just, you know what I mean? They happen to do what they do, and sometimes do what we do at the same time. We know this, you know what I mean? Everyone's got a mum blood. You know what I mean? You know, mum is God. Mum does everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's like, every woman is like that, because every woman is potentially going to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? It's innate. They've got it in them. So
one thing which I would add to that as well, just about women being on the front line, is very simply that is, even if we do go back to the days of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, the people who were fueling the fires of Martin Luther and Malcolm X were the women that were stood beside them. That was the very reason. Do you think Malcolm X was happy with the government ever laying a hand on his missus, or on his wife, should I say? Sorry, no. So everything that he did was moving in the attention to keep the powers that be away from his family. So just an example of me saying how men 90% of the time do things to kind of satisfy the female, or satisfy the woman. Another point which I want to add into there, which is why I believe women are on the front line of this, and they are a lot more courageous, is because if we do look at the transgenerational mistreatment of black people, where men have been pushed, we've been condensed to the point where now on a physical level, we might be 6'5" and built like a black Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ronnie Coleman. But mentally, we've been compressed down and been ground down so much that it's difficult to rise back. We've had the spring taken out of our fight. We won't fight back anymore. Whereas the women have been ground down so far, they've actually hit rock bottom and they've said, do you know what? We're not doing this anymore. And that's why now we see warrior spirits like Corinne Gaines. Now, I personally, albeit I love her spirit, she makes me throw up a black power fist every time I hear any of her words on YouTube or any of her posts that made it onto social media. But I don't think that this is not me being misogynistic here, but I don't think that she didn't need to be in that position there. She needed to be protected. Now, I personally, again, subscribe to the fact that men were put on this earth to protect females.
Of course.
Down to the physical. I mean, when it boils down to it, actually being very, very real, the only difference between a male and a female is the hormone distribution from the brain into the body. So, you know, we see the fact that males have breasts just like females, but we don't lactate.
Of course.
Higher levels of testosterone, which then naturally makes us stronger. So we should be putting, I mean, I will put it to the women like this. Is if at any point you feel uncomfortable in any surroundings that you are in any place, whether it's your workplace, whether you're out on a night out, you should be able to look around you, see a melanated person, and look to that person for some type of protection. Now, I know at the moment that probably isn't the current situation, but I believe that that's how it should be. We need to be protecting our sisters and not allowing you to be on the front line, but not allowing you to be hit first.
Check this though. But this is just in general. Yeah, like I say this all the time, bruv. And this is why, like, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You are supposed to protect just your people, fam. You know what I mean? Your family. First your family. Yeah? Then you go out. And it's your friends and your family. And you go out. And it's your race and your family. And blah, blah, blah. And then it's humanity in general. Do you know what I'm saying? But you start at home first. You get me? No one should be seen like... We are so retarded as a people. We'll see shit like... We'll see what Muslims do. And it's why you have to salute Muslims, you know, because Arabs or Asians, however you want to, because obviously a Muslim can be any race, yeah? So they've come in the country the same time as us, you know. And true to the way we have been oppressed, they've had the time to surpass us. But it's our fault at the same time. And it's not our fault. We know why it's not our fault. White supremacy, yeah, but it gets to a point where you have to take responsibility for your shit and say, you know what? The man them that's out of the bookies, they didn't put money down for their kids, and that's why their kids are out there on the road shotting. We've lost the old school values where you'll see an older man and no matter how he looks, from his talking to you, you listen. When big people are talking, shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? These are old school values that man grew up with. Blood, you will get a box in the back of your head. Go and sit yourself down. Like, these are things that man don't do with their kids no more. So everyone's out here looking at everyone like they're an enemy. Man are fighting each other. Man will defend next people rather than defend you. And that's why we're mash up, blood, because like I was saying earlier, it's the simple things, you know. It's the simple things like, yo, when you see a man and it's you, like, you being a dentist and it's a black geezer and it's you, there'll be 20 people in there and you and him are the only black geezers in there. You should be like, yo, fam, what? You feeling booky in here as well? Yeah, me, I'm feeling booky as well. Yeah, and you can freaking joke about it, but we'd rather sit over there and screw face each other. The simple things we can't sort out. So we can't sort out the bigger things. We're worrying about frigging melanin activating and frigging flying in space and that. Like, worry about every day seeing your people saying wagwan, them saying wagwan to you. So when you're in trouble, you know that as soon as you see someone that looks like you, they're gonna be on the case for you. It's simple, fam. Like me, I have a conscious thing. Like if I see a black person in trouble, if I see a person in trouble, I will back it, regardless of whether they're fucking blue or pink. But a black people, I'll involve myself. If it's a right thing and they're not on no fuck with family, it can't get me in trouble. I'm down to do this, you know. Do you want to go to the station? Because I can take this as far as you want to go, you know. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I've made a conscious effort for myself to do. Car, it's about doing what you're talking and not just talking. You get me? And that's what we like to do, blood. Just talk too much. We like to talk too much.
That's very, very true. I mean, I hear it. I mean, one thing which the females must be very, very frustrated about, because again, as somebody who classes themselves as a quote unquote conscious person, looking around the likes of social media and being around certain social circles, we can see now that this rise in African consciousness is becoming. There's two sides of the fence. There's the serious side of the fence, who people who are genuinely really down for the upliftment of our sisters and for our brothers, and then there's people out there who are actually using it for personal gain. So I've had sisters approach me and have conversations with me before in the past where they felt like they're connecting with a person and they're gaining knowledge from this person for this person to then make an inappropriate pass on a sexual basis. And then from that point there, I mean, if anybody's never heard of that phenomena, that's called hotep breeding. That's called hotep breeding. So when this situation occurs and, you know, there's been an inappropriate sexual gesture been made, and then the female's kind of moved back, this fake brother is now
the real thing comes out.
To then actually launch an assault on the black woman, which is disgusting. And I think that things like this need to stop, because it must. I mean, anybody understands the effect of being psychologically messed with. But imagine this is happening 2 or 3 times to girls. You know, they're trying to connect to people who they feel are resonating on this cultural vibe. They're really down to actually uplift their people.
Sorry, let me just add on to that. It's because we're crossing into like different territory. Car, what we're talking about is like egos. Yeah, from your ego gets touched. If you're not in touch with yourself, you're going to react to somebody, do you know what I mean? And however they come to you. So if you're a person who thinks, oh, you know what, I can use consciousness to get myself some gal, and then you don't get no gal, you're going to be upset, innit? Because your ego's been hit, yeah? And then on the flip side of it, women, not all women obviously, but they take the dribs and drabs of not women, people take the dribs and drabs of consciousness of what they want to run with. Some want to run with the hippie thing, and consciousness only means like whatever relates to a stereotypical version of a hippie, peace to all, love, everyone's one. Some people just take the fashion, some people take the full-on black culture, some people take on the spirituality and the metaphysics, do you know what I mean? And they don't realize everything is a whole. You have to take it on it all. You can do everything in bits and pieces. You don't have to meditate every day. You don't have to light incense and be a vegan. Consciousness is whatever consciousness is to you. And this is why, like, remember, you create the situations that you come across. So if you're in a situation with a man where he feels he can use his consciousness to gain sex off you, he's not the only one that's in question. She has to question herself as a woman and say, you know what? Consciousness is about me knowing myself. It's not about what's in a book. It's not about what's in the stars. It's about her knowing herself. And that is what is the power of a woman. That is the power of a person, of a human being. You understand what I'm saying? To know yourself. And from you know yourself, you know that you can chill with people and you can learn from everybody. You understand what I'm saying?
So what? what if let's say a newly awakened sister of ours was to approach you and say, BC, you know, I'm just waking up to the fact that you know, life is a lot more than what I can see. I can feel this pressure from a system which doesn't want me. What advice would you give to our sisters in the struggle? What would you say to them to help them kind of get them on the right path of kind of learning about themselves and their power and their involvement in our current struggle?
I say, yo, look in the mirror and love yourself, blood. Because I love myself. I'm not a woman. I'm a G. I'm me. I'm a man. I love myself. You get me? Because if you don't love yourself, no one's going to love you. That's just one. Then you can go in your history and you can find women who are exactly like you and look like you. You understand what I'm saying? And these are the people. Modern day society is still run based off what your ancestors created. You get me? You have to just, you don't even have to go back to Kemet. You don't even have to subscribe to what I subscribe to. Just go back to Africa in general, because you can pick anything from everywhere. Find yourself there. Find yourself within yourself. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's not deep. Because a man can sense a vulnerable woman. A man can sense a woman who wants to give him, pom pom. He wants to flipping take him from his money. It's due to, just let me focus on that money thing. If a man allows a woman to come in his life and he knows that she's on, he'll psychologically know that she wants money or whether she's just around for that. A man will allow it subconsciously or not allow it. And women have to understand, men do shit just for women, regardless. Do you know what I mean? Men don't go to gym to impress other men unless they're gay. Men go to gym for the women. Men get cars for women. You understand what I'm saying? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
I agree. I agree that 90% of what we do as males is to appease, improve, or attract females. I do genuinely agree with that there, absolutely. You mentioned one thing which I think is absolutely very, very important. One thing which we find, not just for females, but obviously specifically for females, it's very difficult for them to find in society positive role models for them to subscribe to kind of replicate, not copy, because obviously we're not trying to have carbon copy people out here, but for them to kind of copy the characteristics of these people. I mean, have you got any suggestions of some positive females, maybe in modern time or in history, who you would recommend our sisters to look at to gain that power that they can kind of utilize in their day-to-day lives?
There's loads, like, but I would only be focusing on what I subscribe to. Do you know what I mean? If I say Hatshepsut and you're a Hebrew woman, you're going to be like, oh, well, we don't like Egyptians. Do you know what I mean? So you have to do the due diligence yourself. If this is what you want, like if you want to be pro-black, you have to live this shit. You get me? You have to wake up every morning, blood, and be honest. I don't wake up. No, I don't. I do this every day. I don't do it part-time. You see, as the sun comes up and I wake up, it's black power. It's black African power. You get me? As I wake up, it's just in me. That's what you need to do. That's what everyone needs to do. You can go back and look at history and know history. Yeah, very important. Find specific key figures that relate to you, like I was saying, Hatshepsut and Queen Nzinga and all these different females. But if you ain't taking a conscious effort to implement it in your life and do it yourself, knowing that ain't gonna do nothing for you.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to obviously throw out suggestions for people to obviously want to go and have a look at because of the difference in kind of character or the difference in condition that we've had. Like I said, you couldn't a Hebrew or a Christian to potentially look at an Egyptian Hemet Nusut Waret and draw inspiration, because it's not something which they align with on a religio basis. I think one woman who I would definitely always recommend, it has nothing to do with religion, it has nothing to do with any type of ideology, it just has something to do with being black and being proud of being black. Her name is Angela Davis, one of the
I was just about to say Angela Davis as well, man. Trust me. It's mad you said that.
She makes me fall for Black Power fist every time I hear her words. She really invigorates me, and I believe that if any of the women out there who are looking for some inspiration or looking to maybe how to actually revolutionize themselves and apply themselves in a more productive way, in a way that's conducive with the black community, I would definitely recommend that they look at Angela Davis. Very pivotal.
She was proactive, man.
The Black Panther Party. Very proactive. Very good author as well, if you ever have a chance to check any of her books, sisters. Another female which I suppose that we all like to kind of immortalize is Queen Nzinga. She was one of the baddest female rulers who ever existed. Her brother, who I believe his name was like Ngola Mandi, he was a defeated king. Now, if it was not for Queen Nzinga stepping up, the European would have taken over that land at the time, but she stood up, she fought on the front line, just like our sisters are today. She held a spear and she defended her land, she defended her family. Of course, the situation that we face today is a little bit different. You know, we're not arming ourselves with spears and bow and arrows. We're now arming ourselves with knowledge of self, because that's one thing which people can't take from us. They can't take our intellect, they can't take what we know, they can't take our culture anymore, because we know it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. You get me? It's the truth. It's the truth.
Absolutely.
But you know what?
So, I mean,
I reckon it's about knowledge of self, like he was saying, yeah. But it's what Jehuti says, yeah. Control your thoughts, control your speech, control your actions. Same thing is know your thoughts, know your speech, know your actions. You can think about Queen Nzinga till the cows come home. You can speak about her until the cows come home. But if you ain't implementing that in your life, it's nothing. It's nothing. Yeah? I don't care if you're with a blue person from Mars. They are going to be true to blue people from Mars. You need to be true to whatever you are, black people. Yeah? On Earth. You get me? It's just that simple. No one, I don't care about what you do and where you come from and all that. You need to be true to yourself. That's what it is at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's where it starts at. Everyone wants to blur the lines and all of them things there. Like, it's about being true to yourself. And when you're looking, if you identify yourself as black, then you've got to identify yourself with everything that comes with you. You know what I'm saying? And you define that for yourself. It's peak out here, man. It's peak. This black power stuff gets me amped, you know.
Yeah, it gets me so. I mean, I wake up each day and I go to sleep each night thinking it. And I mean, I love connecting with other people who are able to kind of live a very similar life to mine. Noticing the time and noticing that we've got quite a few people locked in live and direct in the building. So peace, more power, love, light, and guidance to everybody who's tuned in. What we would like to do is obviously just open up the chat room to you guys and give you guys an opportunity to potentially ask any questions which you may have, maybe voice any opinions that you may have, because ultimately, even I'm sure BC will agree with me, we're not sitting here and we're not standing here in front of you today proposing to know all of the answers, to know all of the solutions. What we want to be able to do is open it up for us, for the females to know that that it's not just the females, you as females that understand your divinity and your divine role within our society and with our community. We want to let you know that we're here for you too. Just like the females back us up in our relationships, just like they do in our work teams. We want you to know that in the black community, us as black males are not only here to protect you, we're here to love you, and we're here to help you improve your situation, because the conscious or the intelligent black man will know that his future
dependent on her. Trust me,
because because I mean, personally, I subscribe to the reason that we live and we cohabit on this earth is to pass on our seed.
Standard.
So how can we continue to live in a world where we disrespect, we step on, trample on, and we disrespect our females? How are we supposed to continue on? We're not going to on that basis there. So let me just have a quick look in the little chat box and see if we've had anything pop through from any of the people there. I'm a little bit new to this technology here. It's confusing.
Yeah. Trust me.
Like,
Trust me. Right. That's why I'm not even touching it.
Yeah.
I'm just staying off the screen stuff.
I've had somebody actually message me and it didn't come through up in the group. Her name's popped up as I'm Lady Leo. Hotep, Uncle Joss, and Neb Lady Leo. Peace, and more power to you.
Neb.
Lady Leo's question was, who is more important? Who is more important in the revolution, or in this, or in that isn't how she went. She said, who is the most important, male or female, when it comes to changing our situation?
Female. We've just established this. This is what I'm saying. Men do everything because of a woman. A man's innate reaction is to defend his woman, or the women around him. So a woman produces this child that carries on the next generation, the next nation. You understand what I'm saying? The woman is the most important thing in life, because without a woman, none of us are going to survive. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying like, I'm not on none of this sappy the woman, let me do this. Like, no, I'm keeping it real.
We're not romanticizing. But we're not romanticizing for the sake of propagandizing our females. We're stating fact.
It's a fact. That's what it is. It's simple, isn't it? It's not deep. It's a fact. Like, without a woman, where does life go, blood? We know that two men can't produce a child. We know that you can have artificial insemination and you can freeze the sperm, and you still need a woman to get the egg. You know what I mean?
Touch on the unk for a second, family, because obviously we're now all we're coming into this country about it. There's nowhere that you can look where you can't see an unk. So I mean, just touch on the unk for us. What does the unk symbolize for us? I mean, in case anybody out there is unfamiliar.
So then we know, or if you don't know, we know that the Kemetu, or the Egyptians, the Remech, the original people, as they call themselves, they deal with deep thinking, high science. So when you got something like the Ankh, you're looking at multiple meanings. This is why the hieroglyphics or the Meduneta is such a deep thing to study, and why it was so hard to decipher. Because meaning can mean anything to anybody. So when you look at it without knowing the mindset of the people who created it, it's just anything to you. It could just be a key, or it could be a circle with a line through it and a piece at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Or a cross with a bubble on the top, or a circle on the top, or whatever you want to call it. But we know from studying ancient Kemet that it's the key to life. It symbolizes life. It symbolizes the man, which is the long part at the bottom, the woman, the womb at the top, and then the children, or life, which comes from the two, the duality, or the duality. Yeah.
I'll show them when I pop back up. So just what Brother BC was saying there, for anybody who's not familiar with the Ankh, we have the male piece here, which is called the phallus. It travels up into the womb here, and then we have life, we consider the ovaries, the life, the children that come out. Now, one thing which I wanted to mention, just expanding on something you said earlier about how egos have been one of the driving factors about keeping women European, but also by the black male as well.
Of course.
is that back a day when the Ankh was common knowledge and it was the symbol of choice for people who really venerated life. Whilst this symbol was prevalent, females were respected because it was understood that it was their energy which completed and kept life flowing.
Yeah.
Which is why the Ankh doubles back on itself, because energy doesn't die, it continues to loop round. Now, what happened is, through European intervention, this was removed, the womb was removed, and then we have the typical cross that we see with, you know, within religions. From we start to see the fall of females, but we also start to see the fall of feminine energy within males as well, because as we touched on very briefly at the start, feminine energy is not something which just exists within females, it also exists within males, and it can be can go either which way with that. So since the removal of this archetypal symbol and it being removed, the feminine aspect removed, ego and patriarchy has been enabled to kind of take over the world and not even allow for females to kind of, or matriarchy to kind of pop back through. My question that I will pose to you, brother, is knowing that you believe in Ma'at, which is balance, divine balance, do you believe that at the moment, continuing to push the black male and the black female forward at equally would be as beneficial as focusing in them to a level of where they're considered enlightened? Would you say that's more important in kind of focusing on the females for now and helping them get to where they need to be and let them help others?
No. Yeah, everyone's supposed to help each other. Safe. That's the base thing. But a man can't do what a woman does. A man's never going to be able to help a woman reach to where a woman is supposed to be, and vice versa. Women do shit that men can't do. And
is it fair to say, fam, that we can't help them, but they can help us?
Of course.
When we're talking about reaching this place of kind of spiritual completeness that we need to be in the right mind frame.
Sorry, can I just nah? They don't need to help us. Everybody needs to help themselves. Men are supposed to help men. Women are supposed to help women. And yeah, you have the baseline where you're supposed to protect a woman, and everyone's supposed to help each other. But a man can't teach a woman to be a woman, and like a woman can't teach a man to be a man. A man is supposed to recognize that life comes from a woman. This is what I know. And yeah, we all know you got your hoes and you got your bitches and whatever you want to call them. You have your terminology for it. But I know, regardless of what society calls a woman or whatever, I would choose to call a woman, regardless of depending on what she does. I know that a woman gives life. You understand what I'm saying? So if she's a hoe or she's a stripper or she does this or she does that, she still gives life, fam. And through that woman, whether she's lying down a pole or she's sleeping with 10 men, life continues through her. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, this is why I try to drop realness with it, because we can all try and pretend like, the woman is God, and every woman that I encounter, I treat like a goddess, and But the reality is, eventually, or there's a potential, some woman's going to get you angry, someone's going to piss you off, and you're not going to like it because it doesn't suit you, or she didn't do what you wanted to do, and it broke your ego. You know what I mean? And you're going to be like, you bitch, yo, But do you know there's a difference between you saying that and not knowing? And then there's a difference between you having an argument with someone and still knowing, you know what, I can't go, I'm not gonna friggin' this. My mind is hectic, because I will shoot off into different things. But this is why, like, certain man hit gal, because they don't, you know what I mean? They don't know limits. They don't see what a woman is or whatever. I'm not saying if a woman punched me in my face, I wouldn't restrain her. I wouldn't probably, go there. But I know what I know, because I'm aware, I'm conscious. You know what I mean? Conscious doesn't mean I'm perfect. Conscious means I'm not going to encounter someone and have an argument based on their gender. Do you know what I mean, fam? It's
Absolutely.
about knowing, what do you know? Do you know that a woman is the reason why we're in existence? Yeah, I do know that. Then back to reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not with all that.
Most definitely.
I'm not with
Most
all that
definitely.
fictional stuff, man. I keep it real.
Now, BC, sorry to cut you, family, my brother. I've noticed that we are now, boom, at the end of the slot that we put together. We haven't had any other questions come in, which is cool.
Shouts
So
out to
what
the question.
Yeah, thank you, lady. Much appreciated. What I was gonna say to you very, very simply then, so we can keep this short and sweet, is if you could, based on some of the things which you've mentioned today, what would you say is the most important thing to kind of let our audience kind of go away with? What would you say to any of the men that might have tuned in today?
Black African power is important. Knowing yourself is important. You can't know Black African power until you know yourself. Yeah. Everybody who looks like you is a part of you. This doesn't mean you can't have an argument with them, but this means that, you know what, try to get along, bro. You get me? We need to do this in order to survive. God, we're not gonna survive if we carry on with the madness. You get me? Let's just keep it true. And everybody wants to survive. Do you get me? Because I do. Do you get me? And I've got youths and I want my youths to survive. You get me? So that's it for the man then. Keep it true. Black African power.
And then my closing message to the sisters, specifically out there, is three things. Original, you are the standard of beauty. Or never ever allow for the media, for society, for males, or even other females, because I've noticed how bitchy that females can be. Don't let them affect your self-confidence, because self-confidence is actually the foundation of all beauty. Fact. Second thing, very, very simply, is you as females, you have the right to call out males as and when you see it, for not protecting, for not I'm trying to think of the right word. You have females, you have the right to call out males and put them in their place when they are not acting in accordance with the benefit of the black community. So if you can see a black male calling a girl a hoe, a bitch, being bad mind, call him on that straight away. Don't let that run, because ultimately the more that happens, the more that it becomes accepted and it becomes a societal thing. The third thing that I will say to you very, very simply is that one of the very, very reasons that B.A.P, Black African Power, exists, and the very reason that we were actually founded, our sisters as well as our brothers. So if at any point you ever feel like you need somebody to talk to, whether you feel like you need to just build on something, or if you need to get some type of advice, this is not just a male organization, and we can put you in touch with other sisters who can help you or potentially provide you with any type of guidance and advice that you might need. So please get in touch with us, because ultimately,
shouts out to Sim, shouts out to Jazz, shouts out to Shan.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, one thing which I was going to say, the people who are tuned in and can actually hear us at the moment, if you would like to take a couple of moments, if you haven't already, to head over to www.B.A.P worldwide, which is B.A.P worldwide.com. You can actually find out a little bit more information, not only about ourselves as the council members of B.A.P, but you can also find out a little bit more about what we do, what our goals are, what we set out to achieve. Because ultimately, people, that nobody's gonna come and save us. Okay, I mean, nobody's gonna come and save us. This is down to us. Okay, all paved the way for us to be able to sit here and communicate with each other. Their job is done. Their job is done.
Can I just add something deep onto that, fam? Like, yo, we have to understand, yeah, that the generation that become before us, yeah, the majority of people are in the bookies. Majority of people are on road doing nothing. Majority of people don't see their kids, fam. This means, Dale, we are the last generation to do the thing, because if we don't do the thing, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
We're lost.
It's a wrap.
It's not our generation that does this, that the next generation are going to find it not twice as hard, but 10 times more as difficult, because they're even more far removed from the traditions that we have encoded in us genetically. Because, I mean, I'm not sure if anybody understands memory. Things pass on in us.
I'm saying that, yo, if we don't do this, it's a wrap. I don't think they'll be held back. I think it's a wrap. I think it's a wrap. You understand me? It's a wrap for black. Yeah? I'm just going to say it. It's scary, but it's a wrap for black. If we don't get this right, and we don't fix up, and we don't have a thing where we are economically supporting ourselves, and we are interacting with each other across the world, and we're importing and exporting and controlling shit in Africa, in the next 100 years, which is a blink of an eye in time, you know. Yeah? It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Because remember, all they got to do is hit delete on the internet, fam. All your videos are gone from YouTube. If you ain't got a book, you're farted. If you got a book, remember the films that they put out, they will come on. What did the Nazis do? They found all the paintings, they found all the books, and they burnt the books, fam. What did they do in Alexandria? They burnt all the books. This is why it's so hard for you to find about who you are. You understand? So if we don't do this as a generation, blood, we are done for. You get me? Kiss goodbye to your youth's future, because you ain't gonna know about nothing about black. It's a wrap. As scary as it sounds, it's a wrap.
Agreed.
Trust me, that's how deep black power is, bro. You get me?
That's agreed. That's absolutely agreed. So yes, thank you, Uncle Justin Neb. That I give you life, prosperity, and health. My name is Axsal. This is my brother.
My name is BC, the boss, man.
You can find us on any of the social media. You can obviously get over to us on B.A.P.com. It's a pleasure to obviously feel your energy from people all across the world. I've had some people who have tuned in early from America, all up and down the UK. So your energy is felt, your energy is appreciated. We're trying to do more of these in the future, potentially a lot more organized and a lot more kind of informative. But we wanted to be able to bring some people together to let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. That's one of the big problems which I find that people come to me saying, is that they feel like they're alone in this, that they find it difficult to connect to other people who are awake and aware. So if you do feel like that at any point, people, just know that, you know, there are black people who do care about you. They don't care about your personal preferences. They are here to listen to you because they understand that the problems that you face are the problems that we face too. Get in touch with us.
Backward.
That's it. Peace, more power, Black African power. We'll be black at you again very, very soon.